I was bitten by a poisonous snake. In panic, I grabbed my phone to call for help, but my hand trembled and the foam fell into a crack in the rocks. With no choice, I gritted my teeth and sucked the poison out of the wound. Staying conscious as best I could, I forced myself to run back to the cabin in the woods. I couldn't afford to collapse outside and be eaten by wild animals. Soon, my breath grew shallow and my mind began to fade. I couldn't hold on any longer and passed out completely. I don't know how long it was before I woke up from my coma. To my surprise, I hadn't died. My wound had almost healed as well. But to be sure, I decided to go to the hospital for a checkup. It was then I noticed the dust covering my car. I wiped the window quickly, didn't think too much, and drove straight to the town. But once I entered the town, my heart sank. The streets were completely empty. What should have been a bustling place was scattered with abandoned supplies. I walked closer and saw a body on the ground. Its skin had turned black. The flies circling it told me it had been dead for a long time. It was then that I realized things were far worse than I had imagined. I quickly got back into the car and headed home. It wasn't until I heard the radio that I learned I had been unconscious for 3 weeks. During that time, a deadly virus had spread across the world. It spread fast, with a high mortality rate, and humanity was on the brink of extinction. I couldn't believe it. I hurried home, but when I saw my parents' bodies, I had to face the truth. I thought there might be other survivors. So, I started searching the town, but all I found were ruins everywhere. I decided to drive to the big city and keep searching. However, the city was still eerily silent. Many devices were still running, but the bright lights in this quiet environment looked strangely ominous. I finally gave up. Exhausted, I went to a 5-star hotel and soaked in a hot spring. Then, I returned to my room naked and poured myself a drink.
Make mine a double.
It was then that I noticed there were other survivors. I hurriedly covered myself in embarrassment. Through their words, I finally understood everything. The government had tried to stop the virus from spreading, but all the vaccines were ineffective. The virus's mortality rate and contagion were much higher than expected, and humanity was wiped out before anyone even had time to react. No one knows how they survived. The man believed we were chosen ones, whether it was due to immunity or some other reason. He said we could use all the supplies we wanted from now on. I didn't agree. I knew that in the end, water and electricity would run out, and most food would expire and rot. We had to find a way to survive now. The woman, hearing this, broke down in tears and left. After the man explained, I learned that she had given up after losing her family. Luckily, with the man's company, she hadn't chosen suicide. I urged her to leave with me, but she refused. I had no choice but to promise to settle myself first and come back for her. Not long after, 2 gunshots echoed from upstairs. Left alone, I completely broke down, pressed the accelerator, and thought about ending it all. At that moment, a little dog suddenly appeared in front of my car. It had also survived the virus. It stopped me and prevented me from committing suicide. I decided to adopt it. It gave me back some hope. I went to the library and began learning survival skills. With just myself and the dog by my side, I barely managed to survive in this apocalyptic world. A year later, I had adapted to this life. Then, one day, I saw smoke rising from a distance.